Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is an important day for us, so it's great to have so many of you here. Wherever you are watching us from, thank you for joining us. I'm pleased to say that we have over 1,000 of our tourism community joining us live online. From Hookhead to Mallinhead, from Cape Clear to Carlingford Lough, and all points in between. I hope you're sitting comfortably with a nice cup in your hand as we have some new information to share today about the performance of the tourism sector and the insights on how that is impacting businesses throughout the country. And of course, we're going to be sharing our 2025 plans designed to support you as you face into the opportunities and challenges ahead. Before we get into this, we have a few words from our chairperson, Ruth and our newly appointed Minister for Enterprise, Tourism and Employment, Peter Burke.
Thank you, Paul, and good morning, everyone. Firstly, may I take this opportunity on behalf of the Board of the Authority to welcome our new Minister for Enterprise, Tourism and Employment, Minister Peter Burke. I look forward to working together to deliver a sustainable tourism industry equipped not only to meet the needs of visitors, but exceeding them now and into the future. It is also my great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all attendees representing the passionate and dynamic tourism sector of Ireland. Tourism is a cornerstone of our economy, generating employment and driving growth across the country. Despite the challenges of 2024, we saw robust visitor numbers, though not all businesses experienced the same recovery. Rising costs and inflation continue to impact consumer confidence, both domestically and in our key source markets, and adverse weather affected peak season performance. Nevertheless, the resilience and innovation of our industry continue to stand out as we navigate these challenges together. I'm confident our plans for 2025 will support and strengthen Ireland's position as a must-visit destination. Our commitment to programmes including employer excellence, climate action, and ongoing destination development and continued capital investment in tourism attractions and infrastructure remain a key focus. We look forward to these, along with our many other initiatives, to yield positive impacts in 2025 and beyond. Paul Kelly will speak shortly to the positive performance of 2024, which provide a cautious yet optimistic foundation for the year ahead. While we aim to maintain and grow such performance, we must remain focused on competitiveness to ensure we offer value for money and achieve a balanced portfolio of markets. Continued innovation is key to ensuring our industry remains strong, offering excellent employment opportunities and standout experiences that are mindful of climate impact and accessible to all. I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to our department colleagues for their support and collaboration, and thanks to our outgoing Minister, Catherine Martin. Our sincere appreciation also goes to our industry groups and representative bodies for their dedication to our shared goals. I'd like to, in particular, to acknowledge Tim Fenn's contribution and dedication to the industry during his tenure as CEO of the Irish Hotels Federation and wish him well as he turns the page on a new chapter. I look forward to working with his successor and long-term industry practitioner, Paul Gallagher. A special thank you to Paul Kelly and his executive team for their vision and leadership, and to the wider Fáilte Ireland team for their tireless effort and passion. Finally, I want to recognise you and thank the tourism industry for your hard work and commitment, delivering the very best experiences to your clients. Your dedication ensures tourism in Ireland remains a vibrant, important sector that provides economic benefits throughout the country. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our newly appointed Minister for Enterprise, Tourism and Employment, Minister Peter Burke. Go raibh míle maith agaibh go léir.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to speak to you this morning in my first official address as Minister with responsibility for tourism to welcome you to the launch of Fáilte Ireland's plans for the year ahead. Tourism has, in the last weeks, been added to the portfolio of my department, underscoring the importance of the sector as a key economic driver and employer in our country. As Minister for Enterprise, Tourism and Employment, I am acutely aware of both the importance of tourism to our economy and our communities, and of the specific challenges the sector faces, particularly for the many SMEs that make up a large part of the tourism ecosystem. The new programme for government, Securing Ireland's Future, comprehensively sets out this government ambitious plan to strengthen and enhance our tourism sector, ensuring a balanced regional spread of tourism throughout the country, working to develop a long-term, sustainable and well-paid career choice in tourism, working with local authorities and national bodies to improve public transport options and infrastructure to key tourism locations, making travel more convenient for visitors, conducting a review of the national aviation policy to maximise use of our airports, and through many other areas of focus and collaboration. The government will bring forward measures to support SMEs, in particular the retail and hospitality sectors. Acknowledging the increased costs of pressures to these sectors, this will entail changes to VAT, PRSI and other measures. These measures will be implemented as part of the normal budget process. This government reaffirms its commitment to the Shared Island Fund and commits to increasing the resources available to the fund by a further €1 billion up to 2035. Of course, I am well aware that Fáilte Ireland are a key stakeholder in Shared Ireland tourism initiatives. One of Ireland's greatest strengths is our stunning natural amenities, and there's a large untapped potential right across the country to further develop amenities and market these to domestic and international visitors. In my own constituency, the EU Just Transition Fund is already focusing on developing the regenerative tourism offering, and this will have a transformational impact in the region. As co-chair of the Hospitality and Tourism Forum, established to support the sector's recovery post-COVID, I am very familiar with the tourism industry and the collaborative approach it adopts to realising the potential of the many strengths and opportunities that tourism offers. I would like to thank my predecessor as Tourism Minister, Catherine Martin, for her work and collaboration on the forum, and I look forward to continued engagement with the forum in the months ahead. I look forward to working with the authority and executive of Fáilte Ireland, and indeed all tourism stakeholders and partners over the coming years, to champion tourism and support the sustainable development of the sector for the benefit of our economy, our communities, our enterprise and our visitors.
Thank you, Minister. We are looking forward to working with you and your Secretary-General Declan Hughes and all the team in your department. I also want to say a special thank you to our outgoing Minister, Catherine Martin, along with Secretary-General Fergal O'Quigley. I think it's important to acknowledge that Minister Martin and her colleagues in the last government provided exceptional support to the tourism industry through those darkest days of COVID, and have set a strong foundation for the sustainable development of the sector. But before we look at what's coming up for 2025, I think it's important to reflect on the last 12 months. And look, just before I jump into all of the data, let me just say that 2024 was one of the most confusing years I've seen when it comes to sector performance data. And I know that lots of businesses have been seeing big growth numbers being talked about in the media that have felt at odds with their own business performance. In the next few minutes, I'm going to do my best to make sense of it all, and hopefully paint a picture that connects what you've been seeing in the media to what you're feeling in your own business. Look, the overall summary of it all is that nationally, revenue and volume grew in 2024. But the industry supply capacity grew by roughly the same amount as volume. So on average, individual business volume was flat in 2024 versus 23. Average business revenue was up due to higher pricing, but input costs, as you all know, grew by more than consumer pricing, resulting in many businesses having reduced levels of profitability in 2024. So look, let's look at some of the data that explains this. Now, we only have CSO data for the full sector, that's overseas and domestic combined, up until September of 24. So looking at those first 9 months of 24, we see that total consumer expenditure was up by 17%. Total tourism bed nights were flat. But interestingly, this was made up of a 5% increase in total nights in paid accommodation by holidaymakers, offset by a reduction of nights spent staying in private homes by people who are visiting friends and relatives. Now, we believe that back in 2023, there was still an unusually high level of people visiting friends and relatives post-COVID. And in 24, this returned to more normal levels. So it was great to see that the higher spending holidaymakers staying in paid accommodation made up for the drop-off in overnights of people visiting friends and relatives. And this change in the profile of our visitors helped drive strong revenue growth in the industry. There was also an increase in the total number of visitors' trips, but this was offset by those trips being shorter. But look, I'm sure there are many of you out there saying, well, I didn't see my revenue go up by 17%, or my occupancy or visitor numbers didn't go up by 5%. In fact, very few businesses did, and here's why. The increased revenue and volume was spread over more businesses as the supply capacity in the industry increased. The quantity of both accommodation and things to see and do increased significantly across 2024. In the last 12 months, an extra 17,000 registered bed spaces became available for tourists. And that represented an increase of 7.6% in total registered accommodation stock available for tourism. Of course, this was primarily driven by accommodation stock coming out of government contracts and back into the tourism sector, but also some new stock coming on stream. We don't have hard data for the unregistered accommodation space, but our screen scraping exercise indicates that there's also been a material increase in this area too. There's also been a big increase in the choice of things to see and do. We have had over 300 new listings from attractions and activity sectors on our discoverireland.ie website, which represents an increase of 10%. So the additional available capacity means that extra holidaymaker volume and revenue is being spread across more businesses. And of course, while this makes things more challenging in the short term, it is good news for the overall tourism ecosystem in Ireland. Capacity has been one of our major challenges for the sector. Last year, we had feedback from tour operators and overseas buyers that we were missing out on valuable bookings due to a lack of available accommodation. So this increased capacity is great news for downstream businesses, like the expanding visitor attraction and activity provider sectors, like restaurants and pubs, etc. Also, it's great news for our domestic and international visitors who will have more choices in the year ahead. All of this indicates a very healthy sector and makes Ireland even more attractive for overseas visitors. So, speaking of overseas visitors, let's take a brief look at the overseas market performance last year. We see broadly the same patterns here: strong revenue growth, but a decline in total bed nights driven by a reduction in people visiting friends and relatives, but an increase of 4% in bed nights spent in paid accommodation by holidaymakers. We see strong growth in visitor numbers offset by a drop in length of stay. Now, this decrease in length of stay, it's primarily driven by those visiting friends and relatives who normally tend to stay longer. They're now making up a smaller proportion of our total visitors in 24. But interestingly, we've also seen a drop in length of stay amongst holidaymakers. Now, feedback from other destinations around the world mirrors our experience, and there certainly seems to be a global trend towards shorter holidays. And this in part seems to be consumers reducing the length of their holiday to manage their budget as the prices have gone up. Moving on then to the domestic market, once again we see strong growth at 17%. This is driven by a 7% increase in total tourism bed nights, but a slower rate of growth at only 3% of holidaymakers staying in paid accommodation. And our research indicates that one of the big drivers of domestic market growth in 2024 was people traveling for festivals and events. So look, that's the national picture. But as I said, due to increases in capacity, the picture at an individual business level is not quite as positive. And in January, we surveyed almost 1,000 tourism businesses as part of our tourism barometer. And the results from this show an overall mixed performance for 2024. When asked about the market performance, the domestic picture was mixed. Business from Northern Ireland was poorer in 24, but overseas was a bit stronger. And as in previous years, North America has been behind the good revenue performance from overseas. Unfortunately, our largest European markets of Great Britain, Germany and France did not deliver well for many businesses in 2024. Last year's revenue performance by sectors shows different sectoral perspectives on it. Overall, close to half of businesses saw an increase in their revenue versus 2023. Those sectors that were most connected to overseas visitors, and particularly North American visitors, did best: tour operators, DMCs and coach providers, etc. Attractions also reported a good year overall. The revenue performance was more mixed for accommodation and activity providers, and food and drink providers saw their earnings were down in 2024. As we all know, businesses right across the sector continue to be impacted by significant increase in input costs. And whilst many businesses have increased their prices, overall price rises in the industry have been lower than the rise in input costs. And this means that operating margins, which were already under pressure before 2024, have been even more squeezed. Overall, almost 2/3 of businesses saying their profit margins in 2024 was the same or lower than in 2023. And this number increases to over 3 in 4 for the food and drink sector and the bed and breakfast sector. Now, tour operators, DMC and coach businesses had some of the biggest challenges during the COVID years, so it is good to see them experiencing some margin recovery last year. So look, there was a lot of data there on 2024 performance. I hope it gave you some helpful insights and enabled you to compare how your business performed relative to the overall sector. But look, the summary of it all again is that nationally, revenue and volume grew, but the industry capacity supply side grew by roughly the same amount. So on average, at an individual business, volume was flat in 24 versus 23. Average business revenue was up due to higher pricing, but input costs grew by more than consumer pricing, so many businesses had lower levels of profitability. And look, with that summary of 2024, we'll now move on to take a look at the outlook for 2025. In general, most businesses are optimistic for the year ahead. And whilst growth in the domestic market is expected, hope for a good year rely even more on overseas visitors. When we look at this by region, we see this optimism is felt pretty evenly across all regions. At their plans launch last month, our colleagues in Tourism Ireland outlined the good news that there is really strong interest in visiting Ireland, our key overseas market. So today, we're going to take a look at the domestic visitor sentiment. The 3 key metrics of intention, satisfaction and value for money are broadly unchanged. And this is encouraging considering the strong growth in the domestic market in recent years. And it is great to see these numbers remaining pretty robust despite the increase in the cost of living facing many households in the country. It's great to see this positive sentiment across the industry because you know your businesses, and these forecasts have in the past been pretty accurate predictions of how a year pans out. But of course, we all know there are challenges ahead too. Costs and competitiveness, capacity constraints, concentration of our sector and climate change. And our plans for 2025 focus on supporting you in the face of these challenges. First of all, we can see very clearly from our barometer results that rising costs for businesses and consumers continue to dominate concerns across all sectors. Businesses are facing higher labour costs, and Ireland's energy and borrowing costs are amongst the highest in Europe. This very real and for some businesses existential challenge is very much to the fore of our thinking in developing our plans for this year. The second challenge we talked about was capacity constraints. Last year, one of the big challenges facing the tourism sector was accommodation capacity. And as I mentioned, there has been a welcome increase in this accommodation capacity that is available for tourism. But of course, there are still parts of the country where the lack of tourism accommodation is holding the sector back. And we are working with local authorities and industry players to highlight these opportunities and support the accommodation development in these areas. And of course, workforce capacity is still a challenge. Recruitment and retention of staff continues to be an ongoing issue for the industry, and the labour market remains very tight. However, the primary capacity constraint facing the industry in 2025 will be air access. And we have had a tough start to the year in this area. The impact of the Dublin airport cap has been partially offset by the hard work of our regional airports, but in Q1, our overall seat capacity coming into Ireland was 2.5% lower than last year, with access from key markets like the UK and the US down by 5% and 6% respectively. The Dublin airport cap does make it unclear what the impact is going to be for the full year on air access, but we are expecting there to be some improvement on these Q1 trends when we come into those key summer months. But given the increase in available accommodation capacity that we've spoken about here in Ireland, and that global trend of shorter lengths of stay that I mentioned earlier, it is clear that growth in air access will be vital for tourism's long-term development. We are working hard to continue to develop our regional tourism offering and to support regional airports, and our colleagues in Tourism Ireland are working hard to promote access routes into our regional airports. But Dublin Airport is still the key gateway for the entire island. And like everyone in tourism, we hope that the Dublin Airport cap issue can be resolved appropriately as quickly as possible. As we look to 2025, we are facing into a year where the visitor access capacity won't have grown as fast as the capacity to host visitors. And this is likely to require all the individual businesses out there to be as competitive as you can be for both domestic and overseas business. The plans we are unveiling today are designed to support you to do just that. Moving on then to the concentration challenge. When we look at the concentration of Irish tourism, we have made great progress in recent years of both increasing the regional dispersal and the seasonal spread of tourism revenue. And we need to keep our focus on this area. Globally, the issue of over-tourism is becoming more widespread in peak periods and in tourism hotspots. So a key element in delivering sustainable growth in Ireland will be that we continue to focus on growing tourism across the whole country and throughout the full year. And hopefully you will see very clearly in our plans how we are working to support the industry to achieve this. And finally, on the challenges, of course, climate change, the biggest long-term challenge we all face. One of the global challenges for the tourism sector when it comes to climate action is, of course, the carbon emissions from aviation. But we must accept we are an island nation on the edge of Europe. And this means that for the vast majority of our visitors, air travel is the only way they can get here. And like everyone, we welcome all the steps the international aviation sector can take to reduce the carbon emissions of air travel. But for our part, we're going to continue to work with Tourism Ireland to focus on those overseas opportunities that deliver the maximum incremental economic impact for us here in Ireland from the carbon emissions involved in the air travel. And when we look at the in-destination carbon footprint of businesses here on the ground, we can see very clear ways and significant opportunities for businesses to decarbonise. And the supports that we're going to be talking about today will make this journey much easier for businesses. So with these opportunities and challenges in mind, it's essential that we keep developing our tourism in a sustainable way. And with that, we have set out a clear vision and associated metrics for the tourism sector here in Ireland. We want to see tourism as an industry that is economically resilient, regionally and seasonally spread, achieving its climate action targets, providing excellent experience for our visitors and brilliant careers for all the staff, and making a positive contribution to host communities. And of course, as you know, you can't manage what you don't measure. We have put some very clear metrics in place for each of these elements to deliver economic resilience for our sector. We have all agreed that we will aim for a national average annual growth rate of 5.6%. And to drive regional and seasonal dispersal, we want the developing regions and the off-peak months to grow faster than that at 6.6%. The key climate action target for us, for our sector, is to achieve a 45% reduction in the emissions in 2030 versus 2018 on commercial premises. On visitor satisfaction, we want Ireland to be in the top 3 destinations in Europe for all visitors, including those with additional needs. And to secure the talent we need to drive our industry forward, we want tourism to be in the top 3 careers of choice in Ireland. And finally, to measure the impact of tourism on local communities, we want to achieve a 70% tourism approval rating amongst those host communities. This set of metrics gives us a holistic and an ambitious scorecard for the positive impact that tourism can make here in Ireland. So how will Fáilte Ireland help support the sector to achieve this ambition? For over a decade now, Fáilte Ireland has followed the VICE model, which stands for Visitor, Industry, Community and Environment. And it's the best practice framework in tourism development that ensures we address the needs of the visitors, the industry, the environment and host communities, aligning with the United Nations World Tourism Organization's definition of sustainable tourism. Over the next half hour, my colleagues on the Fáilte Ireland executive team will talk you through our robust plans to develop a sustainable tourism industry and help you face these challenges and opportunities. Because of its long-term climate criticality and the positive impact it can have on business cost reductions, we're going to start with our programs to enhance environmental impact. Jenny de Saulles will provide you an update on our climate action program, which we launched at this event last year. Jenny will then be joined by Keeley, and together they will outline the wide range of programs and supports on offer to help you ensure your business is resilient in both the long and the short term, given the cost, competitiveness and capacity challenges that we all face. Keeley will then go on to give you an update on our work with communities to harness the potential of the tourism economy to support sustainable and authentic development of year-round destinations throughout the country. This work will not only reduce the risks associated with concentration of tourism, but also make our cities, towns and villages great places to live and work as well as to visit. So we will then move our focus to the visitor, where Orla Carroll will share our product development plans to enhance the visitor experiences in Ireland. And Niall Tracey will take you through our plans to develop the domestic demand, but also what we in Fáilte Ireland will be doing with our colleagues in Tourism Ireland to help drive overseas business. Niall will then hand over to Mansergh, who will round out the picture by sharing a brief summary of the great work that Tourism Ireland will be doing for all of us overseas. So first of all, to the environment. We have a short video showing you what we've already achieved in 2024 working together, and then Jenny will take you through our plans for 25.
As Paul Kelly said, climate change is the biggest long-term challenge we face. We are committed to making sure you can play your part in ensuring we hit the government's 2030 climate action targets. Last year, we introduced our climate action programme, designed to support businesses to reduce costs, improve efficiency and lower their environmental impact, supporting government to meet its legally binding targets. The programme is fully subsidised and provides a dedicated expert advisor who will work with you on a one-to-one basis to evaluate where you are now, providing unbiased advice and support to develop a tailored action plan designed to address your business's unique needs and help explore and apply for available funding opportunities. We commit to supporting each tourism business for a minimum of 3 years with dedicated check-ins and support from your advisor to keep you on track. 170 businesses have signed up, demonstrating a strong commitment from you to climate action. And while it's still early days, I'm happy to report businesses are really seeing an impact. One business has identified potential energy savings of €360,000 per annum, another €110,000 per annum. We have seen that participating businesses can make almost immediate savings of 10% on their energy bills through simple measures. Participants on the programme have fed back that the independent advice has made a real difference, providing clarity to them on what actions they should prioritise and when they need to invest. The Climate Action Programme will not only help you reduce carbon emissions, but also improve your bottom line and empower you and your team on this critical journey. We continue to develop our strategic partnerships with SAI, SkillNet, and local enterprise offices. We listen to you and engage with SAI on new business energy upgrade scheme, which has streamlined the grant application process, making it much easier for businesses to access funding. We've partnered with SkillNet Ireland through its Climate Ready Academy to deliver a bespoke sustainability leaders programme for your operational teams. And with Leo, we have a bespoke joint programme for small tourism businesses. Through this partnership approach, we are delivering a one-stop shop for all tourism businesses, providing all of the supports under one roof. We are continuing to develop an all-island certification scheme that meets evolving legislative requirements, supporting industry and instilling confidence among consumers. The Climate Action Programme is 100% subsidised by Fáilte Ireland, and despite being just 1 year old, has already generated significant results. It was oversubscribed in 2024, and this year we have opened the programme again. Signing up is simple, but places are limited and allocated on a first-come, first-served basis. I strongly encourage you to follow the link on screen and express your interest today to avoid disappointment. Now let's take a look back at some of the achievements across our industry support initiatives delivered in 2024. As we build on our achievements from 2024, this year we are committed to continuing our support for you to upskill in areas most critical to business performance. Positioning tourism as a profession offering a rewarding career remains a key focus in 2025 as we work to elevate careers in the industry. The Employer Excellence Programme is providing tangible proof that through the sector's work, businesses are creating stable and rewarding careers supported by excellent employers right across the country. We have communicated these great examples to key influencers through a number of initiatives. And now 76% of employees see tourism as a long-term career. And tourism and hospitality is ranked third place for career consideration by second-level students. That's up from fifth place in 2022. And this is helping secure our future pipeline of talent. Our latest labour market research shows that retention will continue to be a central focus as employees seek development opportunities, role changes, and higher pay across the economy. Key to maintaining progress in employee engagement and perceptions of careers in tourism will be enhancing the overall employee offering amidst rising cost pressures and muted pay perceptions. In 2025, we will support businesses to meet these challenges and opportunities through three key focus areas. First, supporting the sector to recruit talent. We have initiatives to leverage our partnership with the Department of Social Protection, targeting job seekers, and we will provide key supports to employers on recruitment and retention, particularly on key roles such as chefs and tour guides. Secondly, focusing on upskilling and development, we're providing a range of online learning supports on our Learnify platform, covering basic induction right through to professional development modules in areas such as climate action, customer service, and sales and marketing, as well as supporting businesses to create progression plans and development opportunities for their employees. Our third area focuses on driving long-term perception change. Employer Excellence Programme is the key vehicle in driving this long-term and credible change, and it does that by spotlighting excellent employers across the country. The programme has been hugely successful in supporting you to change your employee engagement, resulting in higher motivation and retention of employees and delivering impact of scale. This year, businesses who first signed up to the programme will be completing their 3-year commitment. And moving forward, we will be introducing a new process that will give businesses a choice of survey providers based on their business needs. The wider programme of supports and interventions, such as one-to-one HR expert support, capability events, and Learnify supports will remain. To be among the first to sign up to this new phase of the programme and to find out more, businesses can register their interest by emailing employerexcellence@fáilteireland.ie. You have told us what your immediate and long-term challenges are, and we have developed a range of supports to build the skills in your team to meet these challenges and future needs so that your business remains profitable, competitive, and resilient. We've grouped our business supports into 4 strategic areas fundamental to supporting the sustainable growth of the tourism industry. As mentioned earlier, for those on the Climate Action Programme, to ensure your team have the skills they need to implement your climate action plan, from operational level programmes to strategic thought leadership and communication. And on people and performance, we know that attracting and retaining staff is the ongoing challenge for tourism businesses. So the one-to-one clinics for those on employer excellence and resources like managing a multi-generational workforce and induction for everyone, your team will be well supported. Digital is a constantly evolving area, and our supports will help optimize the performance of all of your digital activities. We have new supports in digital accessibility and the future of AI in tourism this year. And supporting better profitability, we have clinics as well as practical financial tools, guides and templates tailored to your business type, as well as operational efficiency supports. There's a live workshop schedule on Business Support Hub on fáilteireland.ie. Do check it out for new events and tune into the regional webinar to find out more. We must have a tourism sector that is universally accessible to all. Last year, we developed an understanding of the current provisions and trends in accessible and inclusive tourism, both at home and abroad. The insights gained have shaped our plans and programme of supports for 2025 and beyond. This year, we will provide supports to assist you. First, an easy-to-use audit tool to determine the current level of accessibility of your business and provide guidance on areas to prioritise and practical changes you can make to improve this. We will have support to accommodation providers to capture, improve and display accessible features, which are a key part of the booking process for visitors. Starting on the 13th of February, we will host a series of live events in this area, from understanding accessible tourism to promoting your visitor welcome guide. This series has been designed to empower you to start your accessible tourism journey and to create new opportunities for your business. You can book these on Learnify FI Live section of the Business Support Hub today. Tourism accommodation is needed for the continued growth of the tourism sector. In 2024, we in Fáilte developed clear insight into the future pipeline and an awareness of the pain points in developing accommodation, supporting us to strategically support new capacity. This year, we will track and report on accommodation supply, future pipeline investment, and transaction activity. Insights from this research will support the planned development of the tourism accommodation plan called out in our tourism policy with our department, ensuring the right blend of accommodation options are delivered in all areas. We will also explore funding options and supports to address viability challenges. We will be working closely with several local authority partners to identify and advance high potential accommodation schemes and working with our regional colleagues to support accommodation development in the destination development plans. You will hear more about this at your destination level regional events. We will deliver several national webinars to promote new investment in emerging accommodation categories, such as outdoor accommodation, and on driving increased bed space capacity within existing industry, particularly where new developments are challenged by commercial viability. And to further support the viability challenge and to ensure that our accommodation offering continues to meet evolving needs of the visitor, Fáilte Ireland has committed that by the end of 2026, we will have revised the statutory and non-statutory quality requirements. A full review of the NQAF has begun to ensure that it is fit for purpose, adding value to both the tourism accommodation provider and the visitor. To date, we have undertaken extensive research, including international benchmarking, stakeholder engagement, and consumer research. The output and learnings from this research will further support our understanding of the changes needed. And as we start to develop solutions, we will continue to engage with relevant stakeholders. It is also timely to review the NQAF, as the introduction of the short-term tourist letting register will impact on the numbers registering on the non-statutory schemes in particular. The short-term rental legislation will be enacted in line with European legislation and aims to bring more transparency to the short-term rental market and promote a more sustainable tourism sector. I would now like to hand you over to Keeley, who will speak to you about our plans for industry digitisation and how our regional plans will support industry and communities.
Thanks, Jenny, and good morning, everyone. I'll start with a quick update on our industry digitalisation programme and then discuss destination development. In 2020, research showed that Ireland's attractions and activities providers were at a competitive disadvantage in terms of their digital presence, global distribution, and online bookability compared to European counterparts. In May 2021, we launched our Digital That Delivers programme, and in 2024, the EU just transitioned Digital Transformation Programme to address this opportunity. And I'm delighted to tell you that together, we've been making great strides in terms of transforming businesses' digital presence and their commercial performance. We now have 800 businesses engaged in digital transformation projects. Under Digital That Delivers, we've invested 27.4 million to date in terms of grant aid, mentoring, and capability building. And with that, we've been able to deliver 250 new websites and 210 new online booking systems. And by 2026, almost 60% of Irish attractions and activity providers will have active booking systems, and that's up from 19% in 2021. This will make destinations more discoverable and experiences more bookable, potentially increasing revenues for all businesses within a destination. And most importantly, we're delighted to see that businesses that have completed the Digital That Delivers programme are exceeding their targeted real revenue growth of 8% per annum. In 2025, as you see, we have 3 broad bundles of activity. We have 3 industry intakes to push ahead on under Digital That Delivers. We'll need to complete the second year for intake 2 businesses. We'll need to continue year 1 for intake 3, and with that, some new intakes for festivals and golf. And we're going to loop back to intake 1 businesses to adopt best practices in digital accessibility. Under Just Transition, we need to get the 80 participating businesses across the line within the allowed 2-year timeframe. And building on the success of our initial programs, the insights arising from them, and the additional research we have, we're going to deliver a new industry digitalisation strategy in 2025, focusing on unlocking cost efficiencies and driving productivity across the entire business value chain in all sectors of the industry. Now, let's push on and discuss destination development and its vital role in delivering for communities and industry. We'll start with a short video of some of the 2024 highlights. Paul Kelly mentioned that performance varied across the country in 2024. And depending on a destination's maturity level, the challenges and the opportunities we face are different. But what's certain is the more mature the destination, the easier it is to attract visitors and to drive business revenues. Developing a destination requires collective effort from industry and other stakeholders. And as the saying goes, it takes the village to rear a child. And today, I want to encourage you to participate and invest energy in developing your local destination. Destinations are like a mosaic. They're made up of many tiles, and it takes many different stakeholders to ensure that the required tiles are in place and well managed. Our destination experience development plans adopt the accepted best practice destination stewardship approach, involving local communities, local authorities, Fáilte Ireland and government agencies, NGOs and the tourism industry working in unison as a coordinated collective. Each DDP is co-created and jointly managed with all key stakeholders in a destination. They're 5-year plans requiring sustained collaboration and balanced development KPIs that ensure good practice across economic, social and environmental dimensions of a destination. The destination stewardship approach is not optional. We have challenges right across the VICE framework. From a community perspective, we've seen a loss of positive sentiment towards tourism. The overseas visitor length of stay has declined, and affordability is now a key consideration for 83% of visitors. Industry faces big cost squeezes and margin squeeze. We need to deliver supports to unlock efficiencies on costs and to create thriving destinations that support revenue growth in your businesses. And we also have shared environmental challenges that we have to address urgently. So by mid-2025, we'll have 25 active DDPs that entail approximately 2,000 actions across stakeholders over the lifetime of the plans. In the year ahead, we'll progress 400 of these actions, and they're of varying scale and complexity. So far, over 1,100 industry players have been engaged in the development and activation of DDPs, all managed by working groups that are led in the main by industry co-chairs. The main thrust of our work in this area is to coordinate the efforts of a wide range of stakeholders in tourism towards a shared vision and a strategy for the sustainable development of our destinations. The content of each plan varies based on the destination's maturity, but it includes things like network development, new visitor experiences, transport solutions, public realm projects, and accommodation plans. And tightly aligned to our DDP priorities, there are 140 capital projects in the pipeline that will ensure we continue to improve the quality of our product right across the country. And Orla Carroll will say a little bit more about this. And in addition, we've worked with EarthCheck to create a regional sustainability indicator to track the impacts of our efforts over time. So let me finish again by stressing the need for partnership. Our regional development teams are available to you. They're listening. We understand the challenges and the opportunities that you face. And as you'll hear in today's webinar and in the 4 regional ones that follow later in the month, we'll deliver the support you need to succeed. I'd like to ask you once again to engage with destination planning and the related industry networking events in your area. They're a great opportunity to improve your offering, work with others to make the best of your destination. By the end of 2026, we'll have 33 destination development plans in place, co-created to unlock each destination's potential. So no matter your location, there will be a plan to help create a destination that can support your revenue growth ambitions. We look forward to working with you. Thanks for listening. And let me pass you over now to Orla Carroll to talk about our product development work. And before that, let's have a quick look back at some of the highlights in 2024.
As you can see, 2024 was a busy year, with new and enhanced visitor attractions and festivals and events going from strength to strength. There are even more reasons for visitors to choose Ireland. In Fáilte Ireland, we have a pipeline of 175 million committed to developing new and enhancing existing visitor experiences. It's important that we continually develop our visitor experiences and festivals in order to motivate visitors to holiday in Ireland and stay longer in a destination. This helps to deliver on our economic, our regional and our seasonal objectives, as well as enhancing these destinations for the local community. Today, I'm just going to take you through the exciting projects that will be completed and opening in 2025. First up is the Records Tower in Dublin Castle. This €2.8 million investment by Fáilte Ireland, which will see the one part of Dublin Castle that makes it look like a castle, the Records Tower, being opened up. This project sees the installation of a new lift that will allow the visitor to the top of the tower, allowing panoramic views of the grounds and the oldest part of the city. It will also contain, across its 4 floors, a new museum showcasing Dublin's medieval treasures. Fáilte Ireland is investing €1.7 million in the Little Museum of Dublin to make this successful visitor experience universally accessible. The museum is located in a Georgian townhouse on St. Stephen's Green, and this project will include new exhibitions and a new lift. Once completed, the new developments are expected to increase the capacity by 45% and attract 215,000 visitors by year 10, adding another unique attraction to the city's tourism offering. Fáilte Ireland has been working with OPW and the Department of Heritage in a strategic partnership for a number of years. In addition to Dublin Castle, we will see enhancements to 2 key visitor centres at Carroll in Sligo and Dunangus on Inishmore. The redevelopment of the visitor centre at Dunangus will tell the story of survival, not only of the monument in the face of climate change, but of its original builders and occupants as they faced life in the harsh clifftop environment. Our aim is to increase dwell time and in turn visitor spend. So this project also includes a series of satellite interpretation hubs at key sites across the island, which will offer the visitor new routes to explore island life through the centuries. In Carroll, the aim is to strengthen links with the Cage of Fields attraction in County Mayo and to act as a hub for nearby Neolithic locations of Carroll, Knocknarea and Queen Maeve's Cairn, encouraging dispersal around the Sligo area. This project includes a new and vibrant exhibition at the visitor centre. Moving to the outdoors, we have a good few projects opening in 2025. First up will be a brand new trail opening in Connemara National Park, along with the upgrades to existing trails. This is the first phase to alleviate pressure in the park and open up the new part of the park with a new farm trail. Moving to Kerry now, Bray Head is an exciting project. Visitors are already enjoying the walk up Bray Head to see the wonderful views, but this project will see an improved visitor experience with the signal tower and the picture being transformed into a new viewing platform with amazing views of the Skelligs. We have spoken to you before about the €28 million investment in outdoor water sports facilities across the country. This is an investment of €1.2 million per site, and I'm delighted to say we will see the first 4 of these completed in 2025 in Curracloe in Wexford, Ballycugger in County Clare, Acres Lake in Leitrim and Fenit in County Kerry. These facilities will provide those engaging in the activities with proper changing facilities and will help position Ireland as a best-in-class activities destination. The rest of the 15 locations are progressing through planning and construction. Finally, on the outdoors, we now have nearly 200 kilometres of new and enhanced mountain biking trails. And in 2025, we'll be working on the development of the facilities at these locations. I've shared with you the projects to be completed and opened this year. Capital projects take a minimum of 3 to 5 years to complete, so it's important that we have a continuous pipeline. We are currently working on developing a new investment scheme, which will be open for applications in Q4. This new scheme will be in line with our corporate strategy and our regional tourism strategies, with the objective of developing new and enhancing existing visitor experiences to further motivate visitors to holiday in Ireland. 2024 was a busy year for Just Transition. The EU Just Transition Fund is a fund to support communities affected by the move to climate neutrality. In Ireland, the region being supported is those directly impacted from the move away from peat production and electricity generation from peat. 68 million was secured by Fáilte Ireland for a regenerative tourism and placemaking scheme. Our schemes were launched in 2023, and we now have 90 businesses partaking in a 2-year tourism learning network and 70 partaking in a digital transformation programme. We have already awarded 28 million to 23 projects with local authorities and state agencies like OPW. In terms of trail development, we have successfully been awarded planning in 2 locations, and construction will start on these this year. On the 13th of January, we closed the SME and Community Enterprise Scheme. We've already awarded 10 million through the scheme, and we'll have more announcements in the coming weeks. I should add, we had huge demand as the deadline approached, and unfortunately, way more than we have funding for. Moving to festivals, we support over 300 festival and events around the country and throughout the year. Of this, around 50 of these festivals we fund have more of a strategic focus in their ability to motivate visitors to travel, especially in the off-season. In 2024, these festivals delivered an estimated 2.7 million attendees across the country. In October last year, we wrote to all the festivals who received funding from Fáilte Ireland, informing them that 2025 would be the final year of our funding commitment. In the coming week, we will be launching a new Strategic Tourism Festival Investment Scheme for 2026 to 2028. This new scheme is aligned to our corporate strategy and objectives. All festivals, even those we've been funding for a number of years, will be required to apply, and successful applicants will be awarded a 3-year multi-annual investment. This new scheme will be launched later in February and will be supported with webinars, etc. Our 3 largest festivals are St. Patrick's Festival, Puka and New Year's Eve, and we aim to grow them further in 2025. Puka will expand beyond this one festival into establishing Ireland as the home of Halloween. Rooted in the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, this wonderful worldwide event can be traced back to its origin in Ireland. Ireland is the birthplace of Halloween, and establishing Ireland as the home of Halloween is a key initiative to deliver on both seasonality and regionality. The home of Halloween is projected to attract over 495,000 visitors to Ireland in the first 5 years of the project, contributing over 140 million in additional economic activity and supporting over 650 jobs across the country. Last year, we worked with Tourism Ireland and Tourism Northern Ireland on a new strategy, and in the 2025 budget, Fáilte Ireland has been given funding towards starting this exciting journey. I'm now going to pass you over to Niall, who will talk to you about the domestic marketing plans for the year ahead. But before that, let's take a look back over some of what was achieved in 2024.
That was just some of the demand-driving activities in 2024. And what a year! €3.5 billion. That's how much Irish consumers from north and south of the border spent in the Republic. 3.5 billion. That is 40% of all tourism revenue, and it's growing. Before COVID, we were on a long-term growth trend. And after COVID, something really interesting happened. Do you remember in 2021 and 2022, there was talk about how COVID restrictions gave Irish people a new appreciation for Ireland's amazing destinations and experiences? Well, those trips paid off. Since COVID, domestic travel is back and tracking higher than the long-term trend, about €500 million. And it's not just revenue growth that has benefited, but also seasonality. Domestic consumers have always travelled year-round. And while domestic travel has grown throughout the year, the off-season has grown faster than the peak season. On regionality, the news isn't as positive. All regions are enjoying increased revenue from domestic visitors, but mature regions are actually growing faster than less mature ones. This is partly due to the strong growth and accommodation in mature regions that you heard about earlier. So looking to 2025, our role in Fáilte Ireland remains the same: to prime the domestic market, inspiring them to choose Ireland for a break. And we will leverage all the marketing tools to capture the attention of Irish people. Our Keep Discovering ads on TV and online will run throughout the year, north and south, for about 27 weeks, reaching 55% of our target audience weekly. Our RT weather sponsorship is an always-on reminder to Irish people to take a break, showcasing destinations and motivating reasons to travel. The 120 weekly weather stings reach about 1.6 million people on average, 8.4 times. Our partnerships with broadcast radio and digital partners, as well as travel journalists and influencers, will continue to showcase different destinations in a way that really brings them to life to their loyal and individual audiences. Now, much of our activity actually drives people to our websites, discoverireland.ie and visitdublin.com. Last year, we had over 4 billion visits to the sites. To put that in perspective, that is up from 1 million in 2019. Our target for 2025 is 4.5 million visits from Irish people looking for things to see and do. But visits aren't the most important thing. We love the industry referrals that the websites drive to your business. Our objective is to get people initially onto our sites to showcase destinations and experiences, but then off our sites and into your business website or your booking engine. Last year, we sent 1 million warm leads to your businesses. Our target for 2025 is 1.2 million. We also help drive demand through our work with Tourism Ireland. If you were at the Tourism Ireland plans launch last month, you heard about the 750 media from 14 markets, including the US, GB, France and Germany, that Fáilte Ireland will host in Ireland. This media drives massive publicity for Ireland overseas. Tourism Ireland also creates opportunities for businesses to travel overseas and meet international buyers. Our role in Fáilte Ireland is to help you get ready to take advantage of these over 40 overseas sales events with access to 1,600 international buyers that Tourism Ireland provides. In addition to these overseas events, Fáilte Ireland will host over 700 overseas buyers in Ireland through fam trips, events like Mel, and our leisure and luxury roadshows. These in-Ireland events will create over 40,000 sales appointments for businesses to meet Irish-based and overseas buyers. So our role here is to provide sales training, tools, and recruit about 1,200 of industry for these overseas and in-Ireland B2B sales platforms. Now, beyond holidaymakers, business travel accounts for around 900 million in revenue, half, or 450 million, from promotable business events like association conferences, corporate meetings, and incentive trips. These events are important, not just for the revenue, but because they generally happen midweek and off-season. Business events also deliver other non-tourism benefits, like knowledge and expertise that benefits health, education, and industry. So to unlock the potential of business events, Fáilte Ireland, Tourism Ireland, and our department developed the new business event strategy to 2030. Fáilte Ireland leads out on association conferences, and Tourism Ireland leads out on meetings and incentives overseas. The department has secured additional funding to help both agencies start to realise the potential of these events, and we are grateful to the department for their support. Our targets for 2025 are to create €270 million of new leads for industry and support you in winning €200 million of new business. To sum up, domestic visitors are hugely important to Irish tourism and are growing. Seasonality and regionality will continue to be key focuses for us. We will use all the marketing tools and our websites to drive demand. Business visitors are valuable off-season travellers, and we have a strong strategy to unlock growth. And for more details on our domestic and business events plans, please do join us at the upcoming regional plans later this month. Now, as we work closely supporting Tourism Ireland in their overseas work, I'm delighted to introduce CEO of Tourism Ireland, Mansergh, who will give us a sense of the overseas market and the Tourism Ireland plans.
Hi everyone, I'm Mansergh, CEO at Tourism Ireland. Thanks to Paul and his team for all the great work showcased today. We love to team up with you and our Fáilte Ireland colleagues to tell the story of what the island of Ireland offers to overseas visitors. With offices in more than 13 overseas markets, we at Tourism Ireland can help you get the message out to win hearts, minds and trips. Our mission is to increase the value of overseas tourism to the island of Ireland, sustainably supporting economies and communities while respecting the environment. We'll achieve that through inspiring visitors around the world and strengthening our strategic partnerships, including with all of you. Let's take a look. First up, what is the value of overseas tourism? Well, last year, in 2024, we estimate overseas visitors spent €7 billion island-wide. That's 10% more visitor spend in 2024 than in 2023. We know that incoming revenue was much needed as the industry coped with rising costs. There are about 300,000 jobs across this island, inclusive of Northern Ireland, that depend on tourism, and about 60% of those rely on overseas visitation specifically. We're ambitious to increase overseas visitor spend by 5.6% on average each year out to 2030, with your help and with the right supports in place. If we achieved this together, that would mean €9 billion coming in each year by 2030 and supporting businesses and communities across the island. How we bring visitors to us will matter more than ever in the coming year. We're supportive of every move being made to review the Dublin Airport cap, which is a capacity constraint for the whole island at our main gateway. In our marketing, we'll be working with air and sea partners to inspire visitor demand for routes that are viable into Cork, Shannon, the regions and Northern Ireland. We'll be focused on visitors with value-adding tourism traits in our broader marketing. That is, those behaviourally likely to see more, do more, enjoy more and spend more when they're with us. When there are volume constraints, spend per trip becomes all the more important. Inspiring visitors helps us win those trips. Next year, we'll be launching a new brand campaign and achieving 1 billion views with that overseas, with high persuasion scores. That is, an ability to drive consideration for Ireland. We also love when others speak for us, so we partner with press and broadcast media around the world so that credible voices are sharing what Ireland has to offer. Last year, Dermot O'Leary's series Taste of Ireland aired to millions in Great Britain on ITV. This year, Fred from First Dates will be cycling the Northwest, while Emmy Award-winning host Michaela Malozzi explores music, dance and culture with us on the PBS network in the US. We'll drive 1.6 billion in reach for publicity on Ireland. Beyond inspiration, research matters. Did you know people will visit, on average, 277 web pages and spend 5 hours researching before deciding on their holiday destination? And that's according to a recent study by Expedia. That's more time spent researching holidays than the average time to run a marathon. We want to help visitors choose Ireland through our website, ireland.com, which we're optimising to feed into AI recommendations also. We'll help 10 million people research their holidays with us. And we'll grow our social media following to 7.5 million, posting daily content to these fans, which they can then share onwards. Supporting economies and communities means encouraging visitors to come to Ireland across regions and seasons. St. Patrick's Day attracts 100,000 visitors who travel the island. We reached 230 million viewers around the world last year and saw 4 times as much online research for Ireland in key markets like the US during St. Patrick's Week versus any other time of the year. This year, we'll be inviting news broadcasters to join us from around the world, and we'll be covering festivals in Dublin, Belfast and beyond. We bring a taste of the action to cities across Europe with 11 Ireland Week celebrations across Madrid, Amsterdam, Paris, Milan and more. And at the other end of the year, we were thrilled with the success of our Home of Halloween campaign, promoting travel in autumn. We'll be building on this with a new documentary on the Celtic origins of Halloween and with promotions to highlight authentic festivals like Puka in Meath, Derry Halloween, Mockness in Galway, Bram Stoker in Dublin and more. Sustainability is a key topic. There is a carbon footprint associated with bringing visitors to us. In our marketing, we target those markets with the highest revenue per carbon footprint, maximising the social and economic benefits compared to the carbon footprint. Did you know that 50% of overseas audiences now say they would pay more for sustainable experiences once on holiday? In June, we'll launch Slow Tourism Month. This will focus on dwell time in nature and communities, and it builds on the success of a campaign featuring HVO-powered boats on the Shannon in Germany last year. We'll share sustainable ways to enjoy the island once here, from EV travel to rail travel to blue ways, green ways and more, all reaching those visitors who care the most. We can't wait to team up with you on these initiatives and more, with thanks again to our close collaborators in Fáilte Ireland. Supporting you, we'll be creating events platforms overseas so that local tourism businesses can come and sell with us, winning trade contracts that bring visitors at scale. We'll be supporting 30,000 such valuable commercial meetings this year, including dedicated focus for exciting areas such as business events, golf and luxury. Thanks from me to everybody in the industry. Without you, there would be no story to tell. We can't wait to team up with you and our partners in Fáilte for a successful 2025 from overseas inbound visitors.
Thank you, Alice, for that overview of Tourism Ireland's exciting plans for 2025. And thank you to you and all of your team for the great work that you do in promoting our wonderful tourism offering overseas. Thanks also to Jenny, Paul, Orla and Niall for their presentations and all their teams' work on the various initiatives in support of the environment, the industry, communities and visitors as we seek to drive the sustainable development of the tourism sector and tackle those key challenges of cost and competitiveness, capacity constraints, concentration and climate change. I want to say a special thank you to Cayman Wall and Nessa Skian for their Trojan work on making sense of all that industry performance data I took you through earlier. And of course, what you haven't seen today is a huge amount of work that goes on behind the scenes in Fáilte Ireland, in HR, finance, IT, strategy management, corporate services, governance. And I'd just like to acknowledge Deborah Nolan, our Director of Operations, and her team, who enable the rest of us to execute the kind of programs that we've outlined today. I also want to say a huge thank you to all of our partners who work tirelessly with us day in, day out to develop the tourism sector. I won't list them all now, as I'm sure you're all ready for a coffee refill, but they will pop up on screen at the end. But most of all, I want to say thank you to you, our industry partners. You are the ones out there providing the Céad Míle Fáilte, the 100,000 welcomes to our visitors, and the 227,000 jobs to our communities. So thank you. Tomorrow, we're going to be emailing you all the details of our regional briefings that will go into greater detail on what's happening and how we plan to support businesses at the regional level throughout 2025. These will take place online on Thursday, the 27th of February, so be sure to register for the session that's most relevant to you for those specific insights, plans and supports in your region. Thank you so much for staying tuned in and the very best wishes for the year ahead. We in Fáilte Ireland are certainly looking forward to doing all we can to support you and collaborate with you throughout the year. Slán agus beannacht.